Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Deputy Prime Ministers, fellow Honorable Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honorable Leaders of Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, Mbula Vinaka, and a very good afternoon to you all. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to deliver my response to the 2022-2023 national budget. The rebuilding of our future together national budget, announced by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, 2 weeks ago, champions freedom, unity, inclusivity, and progress as it offers hope and the promise for a better tomorrow to the people of Fiji. I therefore commend the Honourable Minister, the Permanent Secretary for Finance, and the hard-working team for the thoughtfully considered budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, at the outset, I would like to applaud the coalition government for its foresight and support the natural resources-based sector. Fiji resource rich in the injection of increasing budget in these areas is a blessing, bringing back our economy to a full recovery. It is sad to note that this was one of the areas greatly suppressed by the previous administration. As custodian of these natural resources, the mandate of the Ministry of Fisheries and Forestry remains. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I had mentioned in my maiden speech, I hold a portfolio that is most dear to the people of Fiji. I believe that the budget has set out ambition to build on a current effort and creating something even greater for the next generation. Whilst we prioritize key activities in the new financial year, we will continue to collectively work to maintain a balance between economic gain and conservation. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the interest of time, I will focus my response to the Fisheries and Forestry Initiative that have been newly introduced by the coalition government through this budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to speak on fisheries budget. The Ministry of Fisheries welcomed the budget of 20.3 million, an increase around of 26% for the current fiscal year. With the global efforts of protecting an ocean and its resources, the task at hand is indeed an overwhelming one. Mr. Speaker, sir, the role of sustaining, managing, and protecting fisheries in Fiji has tripled. Due to the increasing effect of climate change, as well as the ultimate threat of resources being lost for good due to overfishing and unsustainable practice. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the increase in budget, the Ministry of Fisheries has indeed been given a boost as will ensure that its activities and programs are elevated to assist towards overall goal of ocean and resource protection for generations to come. The Ministry achieves this through smart partnership and close collaboration with all its stakeholders across the fisheries supply chain. This includes subsistence and commercial fish flocks, resource owners, fishing industry, exporters, academia, and partners in development and research, among others. Given this setting, the Ministry has commenced the review of the Fiji fisheries laws to encounter new and emerging issues with the current laws and rendered inadequate to address the development fit-for-purpose legislation to support growth in the fisheries sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, the review of the law is crucial. However, it was just a talk fest in the previous administration. Nothing materialized, and the review was not implemented. It is important to note that within the first 6 months of our being in government, the review of the law was passed in the Cabinet. Technical support by the Foreign Fisheries Agency seal and consult process is well underway. Climate change and the blending of natural resources further underscore the importance of research of our governments. An allocation of 978,000 will allow the Ministry to direct its effort to research through smart partnership with key stakeholders to strengthen the science and culture for high-value marine species and collection of sound scientific data and information on species interest. We are indeed grateful to have partnered with development stepping in to assist the Ministry each step of the way. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry is taking a targeted approach to facilitate the fishing industry issues, to ease the cost of doing business, and to combat the issue of illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. A budget of 750,000 has been set aside to implement the e-platform system for licensing and permitting, the marine stewardship certification of offshore fisheries product, and the electronic monitoring system. Mr. Speaker, sir, robust activities to support our coastal communities will be rolled out to bring greater prosperity to the Fijians, including resource owners. Improvement of livelihood whilst achieving sustainable blue economy is the key, and the Ministry will ensure that it puts all its effort toward the task at hand. 1.3 million is allocated towards coastal fisheries development. Key to this budget in terms is the introduction of empowerment initiatives for fish wardens to support the Ministry with the monitoring of fishing activities within customary fishing right areas. The Ministry will develop a framework for awarding of fishes, award and allowances to support monitoring, control, and surveillance. Mr. Speaker, sir, the coalition government is here to turn all the talk fast of the previous mission to action and result. 0.9 million has been allocated for the construction of Coral Service Center and ice plant to ensure that fisheries on island and nearby islands are able to access much needed services. Mr. Speaker, sir, 0.8 million is allocated to ongoing construction of the multi-species hatchery in Ra, and this is expected to assist hundreds of aquaculture farmers across mainland through the introduction of new species for farming, as well as a continued supply fish shrimp for aquaculture purpose. The Ministry will work with community and private sector through public-private partnership to focus on a mass production of selected fisheries commodities and diversification into agriculture and forestry to sustain operation. An integrated approach is the way to go, and the time is now. Mr. Speaker, sir, we will continue to ensure quality and excellence and embedded into the process service delivery and the people that provide service, the 32 fishery services across Fiji. First and foremost, in realizing this is to ensure that the staff resides in a safe and healthy standard quarters. The Ministry welcomed a total of 200,000 budget to upgrade quarters. According to these new budget items, it's an indication that the coalition government cares for the welfare of civil servants who put in all their efforts to produce the result. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry efforts achieving a sustainable blue economy remain steadfast. It will continue to incorporate climate resilience and adaptation efforts through practical and viable adaptation solutions for the benefit of individual fisheries business, the sectors, and the community it serves. Mr. Speaker, sir, please allow me to deliberate on the forestry budget. The Ministry welcomes the 21.3 million budget allocation for forestry, at an increase of 20% from the current year. This increased budget allocation supports the new initiative that will contribute to rebuilding our nations. To ensure a solid foundation for forestry activities, the Ministry is currently reviewing the 1992 Fiji Forest Act. This was one of the key policy work that was never completed by the previous administration. The coalition government is here to complete all this unfinished and even do better by bringing back the elements that were disintegrated and disjointed previously. With inputs from forest stakeholders and the Public Update Act will address present deficiencies in guiding and process aligning international commitment, best practice and national development, particularly in climate change. Furthermore, the Review Act will champion all aspects in sustainable forest management, climate change, forest carbon trade, as well as recent development in policy and administration of forest sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition to the review of the Fiji Forest Act 1992, the Ministry is adopting a best practice, introducing a new code of practice for wood processing facility, mills and log yards. The code will support current forest legislation and policy and will also ensure that the wood resources of Fiji are processed, optimized economic and social benefits in an environmentally responsible manner, consistent with Fiji's commitment to sustainable forest management. With the recent outbreak of termites in the Western Division, the new code is a timely addition to the forestry law. Under the code of the Ministry is committed enhancing efficiency in overall sawmilling and log yard operation to improve production and quality and to reduce waste. By focusing timber treatment and quality, we can help control the infestation of termites and stop the supply of suspended timber into the market. I commend the Office of the Prime Minister for leading the way to eradicate termites through the termite task force and hope that the Ministry's efforts will contribute towards a long-term solution eradicating termites in Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, with mahogany relating to the stewardship of the Ministry of Forestry, this opens opportunity for trade and value adding in the wood processing space. This is a welcome opportunity for the Ministry with a total budget of 0.5 million to ensure fair and equitable return to resource owners and their effective inclusion in decision making. The Ministry will closely work with relevant authorities for the development of action strategies and legislative amendments to foster and address issues that have been affecting the industry resource owners for far too long. Ultimately, the review of the relevant law will be strengthened the enforcement of sustainable forest management practice, curb illegal forest activities. Mr. Speaker, sir, in balancing economic activity with conservation, forest restoration remain a key activities of the Ministry of Forestry. With the 2.5 million to allocate to restoration degraded forests, the funding will be used to address challenge and to ensure the survival rates of trees planted. This will be done through extensive monitoring, undertaking beat up, enhancing quality seed collection, propagation and planting protocols. The previous administration only focused on getting the numbers on the scoreboard without ever considering the survival rate of what's planted. Mr. Speaker, sir, my aim is to change the narrative and to ensure budget is set aside for monitoring and evaluation and for making effective process that have proved to be effective. The Ministry welcomed the $2 million allocation for the reducing emission for the deforestation and degradations, RED+, which will be used to support the implementation phase of the emission reduction program in 2 districts of 177 villages. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry welcomed the budget of 200,000, an increase of more than 100% allocated for the forest subsidy value adding machine to support forest-based companies and resource owners who are often worse off and left behind in the previous administration. This includes support to landowners who have leased their lands for mahogany plantations. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry welcomed the total budget of 1.4 million to support the subsidizing of ship costs for transporting pine logs to mainland for further processing and export. Changing the economic model for maritime pine and introducing the commercial development aspect at the completion of the housing rehabilitation program was crucial to ensure resource owners realize tangible benefit from matured pine trees within their forests. This change will be benefit all those in supply chain and even more the economy from anticipated increase in forest export. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry will ensure working closely with all relevant stakeholders to bring about sustainable result. Sustainable planting program will be introduced to ensure needs of the current and future generation are accounted for. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry also welcomed the budget of 500,000 to reconstruct the Nakabu Bridge, which was initially damaged by TC Winston in 2016. The reconstruction of the bridge will provide access to the research lease and for completion of the prescription diameter harvesting trial in Nakabu. This will also ensure mitigation of associated risks to lives and environment. The Nakabu landowners will welcome this development as it will progress their interests as well. Similarly, the Fisheries and Forestry welcome the budget for $350,000 for the upgrading of office quarters. The reform the point I had earlier raised that this government cares about the safety, health and welfare of civil servants. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the allocation budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, the Ministry will strengthen its commitment in playing a leadership role in our mission to sustain, manage and protect Fiji's fisheries and forest resources. Mr. Speaker, sir, in these difficult times, if I have learned things, it is the power of love, compassion and hope. If one person can change the world, it is by being compassionate and giving the people love and hope. If you do this thing, the next generation and a generation follow will live in a far better nation than one we have today. To conclude, Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Fisheries and Forestry will escalate, widen and increase our drive to improve service delivery, maximize operational or fiscal efficiency. I would like to end by stating a Chinese verb, and I quote, "Give a man a fish and he will eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he will eat forever." Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend and support the 2023-2024 budget as present in this August House. Thank you very much. May God bless us and may God bless Fiji.